Well, welcome. It's day 5 of 30 Days of Gratitude, all through the month of November. We are taking into account all the things that we're grateful for. In the United States, we celebrate Thanksgiving, and people celebrate it in a number of different ways. And I always love to celebrate Thanksgiving around the theme of gratitude, of gratitude. So actually, Thanksgiving is like my favorite holiday of the whole year. I love it so much. Anyhow, I was thinking, there's so much energy that's moving and flowing, and it's easy for us to get distracted. And what a great thing to do would be to think of things that we're grateful for on a daily basis in the month of November. So today being day 5, Tuesday, November the 5th, 2024, I want to offer my 5 things that I'm grateful for. Oh, this isn't one of my 5 things. I already listed this, I think, on my first day. Water, for sure. Mm, it's so good. All right. So, on to my list today. 5 things that I'm grateful for. First thing I'm grateful for is my ancestors. My ancestors, my lineage, all my ancestors that came before me. My mother, well, my mother's not my ancestor yet because she's still here, but my grandmother, my grandma's grandma, grandma's, all, that whole family tree, my family tree, all my ancestors, all of the beings that came together in order to create this point of divine expression in the world. I am so grateful to all of them. And I feel the presence of my ancestors around me, surrounding me. And so I'm so grateful for that, for knowing that my ancestors are with me. And I'm having a more expanding experience as I'm acknowledging this, because for many years, I knew the ancestors were with me. I could feel them at times, but now it just feels like a presence, and so I'm thankful for the presence of the ancestors, my ancestors in my life. So grateful for them. And in saying that, that brings me to, in my ancestral line, I come from the culture, the island of Hawaii. My family is from Hawaii, and so I'm grateful for my Hawaiian heritage. I'm grateful to, yes, come from such a beautiful island and to have such a deep history of island people and to the culture and just the way that we interact with the land, my Hawaiian heritage. So really connecting back deeply into the Hawaiian culture was something that I kind of abandoned, in my younger years, my young adult years. I think that we just kind of rebel. And so I went through that whole rebellion too, and I kind of left, the the teachings of my ancestors and my lineage and heritage, and I ran off into the world of the unknown. And then, as I get older, I have such a deep interest in really wanting to understand and know more about my Hawaiian heritage. So it's really important. Every time I go back to Hawaii, I have a deeper experience, of knowing, of being from the island, because, there's been this opportunity for me to discover more about my father's side of the family because I didn't know my dad. And so he was always a mystery, but somehow, how these things happen, somehow, in some way, my mother connected with someone on my dad's side, like his uncle or aunt or something like that. So she was able to make this connection. And oddly enough, he's alive and he's living in Honolulu, which I think is wonderful. And so, like, just, you know, my Hawaiian heritage, I would love to meet him, to talk to him more about, his life and whatnot. But I'm really grateful for the culture from which I come from, and all that I'm learning, all the beautiful things that I'm learning. And, sometimes in history of indigenous people or natives or any people for that matter, there's there's things that happen, right, in ways of being that that just change over time, right? So I'm just going to leave it there. Just leave it there. Okay, so in talking about all of that, because you can tell we're deeply in Hawaii right now, talking about all of that, I want to present my grandmother. My grandmother was a hula goddess. Her name was Elizabeth Pelz. She went by Pele Tiki as her stage name. She was an entertainer in many fashions. She was an exquisite hula dancer, um, singer. She was a musician, and her biggest intention and her joy was to share the aloha spirit with everybody that she met. So she was a hula teacher. She taught hula. She put together floor shows and traveled all around the country. I danced. My mother danced. My mother did music. I mean, it was a whole family affair where we brought the love and the aloha of Hawaii to the mainland, in the 60s and 70s when it was really, Hawaii was really hot, because we had just become a state. And so my mother and my grandmother and traveled all up and down the East Coast. So I spent a lot of my time as a little one dancing hula, most of my youth, and moving around a lot. We went all up and down the East Coast and started traveling west. And that's how I ended up here in St. Louis, Missouri. My mom got a job with her hula show in 1976, and that landed me here. Isn't that funny? Anyhow, I digress. So I'm grateful to my grandmother for bringing the essence of, hula and and telling the story of the Hawaiian people and sharing the aloha, with so many. And so I'm so grateful for my grandmother. She was a fire goddess. My grandmother, you know how they spin those balls of fire today? My grandmother did that. She did that 60 years ago, for sure. She spun fire. She spun the fire knife. She could actually spin two knives at one time. She was amazing. She walked through fire, the whole thing. The whole thing. She danced. That's why she was Pele, the goddess of fire. And she was amazing. And she was quite the entertainer and an exquisite hula dancer. And my grandmother taught many people how to dance hula across the country at that time. And it was really, it's really a wonderful way to grow up, and to have that relationship with my grandmother, that hula that connected us in such a beautiful way. So my grandmother and my mom were the first to teach me hula at a very young age, 18 months. And so then I'm thankful to my mother. Oh my gosh, I'm thankful to my mom for being the portal in which I get to come through the earth. Aren't you thankful for her too? I mean, yay, mom. She she also helped to really anchor hula into my life and Hawaiian culture. There was a time when my mother went and she had her own show. And so she started doing what my grandmother was doing, but, creating her own. And so we went off and she was teaching hula. My mother followed in my grandmother's footsteps and lived the hula life. Both my grandmother and my mother lived the hula life. Both of them ended up back in Hawaii. My grandmother made her transition in 2008, and my mom is still living there, and they're living in the hula hut, the hula house. This was the house that hula built, and this is my grandmother's home. It's our Hawaiian heritage home, and my mother taught hula there for many years. Actually, she still teaches hula there. She doesn't have hula classes anymore, but she does take one-on-one students. She teaches, hula just differently now. She's gone to Japan and taught many people in Japan to teach hula, and she has a hula student who continues to come and learn hula from her, who takes it back to Japan and teaches it to her students. So a beautiful hula tradition in my family, and I'm so grateful for hula in my life. And so that would bring me now to my last gratitude, is hula. I'm so grateful for hula in my life, for this is a gift of me from my ancestors, from my lineage, my culture, my heritage, something that I'm so grateful for. And, it's really powerful for me for a long time. Like I wasn't aware of my father's lineage and I wasn't aware of, whether or not I had the Hawaiian blood, and so it was just very interesting. So recently, it's going through my family tree. We've been able to connect with some people on my father's side of the family, and so it's confirmed that for me that I carry the blood of the Hawaiian people. That land is my land. Mauna Kea is my mountain, and so many things there. It just changed for me, and I found that out within the last 2 or 3 years. I was always told that I was, but I didn't have proof. I didn't have like undeniable proof, and now I have it, and so it did change everything for me. It did, and so now just knowing that hula, having the deep honor in bringing hula, mele ohana dancing in Japan on my tour there with Unity Earth. I was able to offer that. That's the song of my family, and I was able to offer that not only in at the base of Mount Fuji at the Goi Peace Foundation, as we were doing a celebration and ceremony for peace in our world. And it was beautiful to dance that on the beautiful earth there at the base of this powerful mystical being. And then to also have the deep honor of dancing again in Hiroshima on International Day of Peace, and to dance with the ancestors. It was raining that day, and we were outside. We were in front of the dome, the Atom Dome, and it's a building that they didn't take down, that was bombed, and they left it there so that they would always remember. It was the one remaining vestige of all that was taken during that bombing, and such an honor to be there and just to be with the Japanese people and to bring hula there. It was profound because, Japan bombed Hawaii. And so to be there and to dance hula in Japan on that sacred earth as a Hawaiian and as an American was very powerful. It's very powerful. So those are my gratitudes for today, all about my Hawaiian heritage. It's Tuesday, November the 5th, 2024, and I'm praying that my ancestors continue to support, love, and guide me, keep my heart safe and happy and filled with joy, filled with aloha, aloha, aloha from my heart to yours. So much aloha for you. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you again soon.